Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to show you how you can make a reference photo, simplify it and then just grab a few things out of it and do your composition and enjoy it. So the first thing that I'm doing is wetting the paper and apply the first layer, which is mine is also yellow deep, but any kind of yellow work here perfectly. And I add yellow because in my reference photo, I see a daylight at the top right side of the photo. I just apply the first layers, and for green parts, I apply the olive green, a little bit olive green with consistency of tea. And as you see, colors in the area which is wet, they blend perfectly to each other, which is very good. The part of the paper is not wet. There are hard edges, which is fine because we have to have both, hard edges and soft ones. And I just put few random dots to represent those small little flowers in the photo. And I use burnt sienna. I try to keep some part of the paper untouched because I want to add those flowers later, so I want to keep the space for them. But again, it should be randomly. I don't think any particular shapes or spots. I just do it like randomly. Okay, I add cerulean blue and burnt sienna at the bottom of the composition and a little bit at the top left because I want to have counterbalance in my painting, and also because I have some dirt on the top of the reference photo. I just inspired by it and then apply those brownish color at the bottom. It could be any kind of brown, doesn't matter. Of course, we need to apply the first one, pick the lightest one, which I picked burnt sienna here. And then, of course, I add few burnt umber to those dots at the top, and also later I add burnt umber at the bottom. And you need to keep variety in your brush strokes. Sometimes I use the belly of my brush, sometimes I just use the tip of it. And dots, lines, and for sure, the big shapes will help perfectly. Second layer should be a lot stronger color that I'm applying now. The same colors, but still they are the same colors because, as you know, we should keep our palette limited in watercolor. And feel free to spray water to any part of your painting to fade them out. Okay, for flowers, I use pinkish color. It could be magenta or I have rose here in my palette, which I'm using here. So it could be violet too, but you need to mix it with water because we want to have the lightest version of the color that we use here. It could be crimson or any kind of pinkish red. And then I just put the first layer in the shape of the flowers. But remember, we need to make them bigger when they are closer to the bottom, and when we are going towards the side of the paper, we need to make them smaller. And as you see, I just keep few white dots. I don't touch that areas, and I use the tip of my brush a lot to put dots and lines. So again, I mean, you need to have at least 3 shades of one color and 3 layers. Okay, now I'm going to make the flowers more defined by adding darker value, which could be the same color but stronger with more consistency, or in this case I'm using crimson and put the few dots for stamen inside the flowers. And at the same time I'm trying to keep variety on dots and maybe small lines all around. But of course I focus on the focal point, which is the big flower more. So I try with negative painting shape the petals by adding darker value into the flower, and also I can make shape the flower by negative painting when I apply the green part of the composition negatively and shape my flower more. And of course I need to continue that color that I apply for the flower to make it more defined, continue by adding few lines and dots because I want to connect all things together. So the same thing happened in another one. I'm shaping things negatively. And as you see, I just apply few positive shapes as well, which could be leaves and even part of background. Okay, I just go to define the shape of the flower more by adding few details in those flowers that they are in my focal point. And when the paper is still wet, you can just remove the color that you apply and you don't like it very easily by just putting some paper towel over it, or just wet it and then remove it. It's a kind of using lifting up technique. And of course we need to use any kind of techniques which helps us to make our painting more organic and beautiful. The same process. Negative painting, I'm adding the green, which is, I told you, it's olive green. You can make your olive green lighter with adding yellow ochre or any kind of yellow to it, or you can make it darker by adding any kind of brown, like burnt umber, burnt sienna, or if you want to make it very dark, you can make it, mix it with ultramarine or indigo, or even sepia, because it's a kind of dark brown. And of course they could be different from each other, but all of them are very dark green. But I keep it simple. I don't want it to be that much dark, so I just mix my green, which is olive green, with burnt umber. I don't want it to be darker than this. Sometimes you need to tilt your paper to have better access to the areas that you want to work on that areas, because when you are trying to make negative painting, you have to be the picture should be clear enough to you, because you want to shape it. And if you tilt the paper, you can make the shape, you can see the shape and make it better. I'm adding few random shapes for leaves and connect them with lines, which could be like stems all over the painting. And I don't work on that flowers that they are behind my focal point too much, because I want to keep them a little duller and push them back by not doing more details on them. But still, I need to connect them somehow to the focal point. So I'm adding few green colors, dots, stems to connect them to the focal point. Sometimes you need to step away and look at your composition. Then you realize that where you need to work more, or because the paper is wet, so if you feel, okay, I need to remove this part, it could be much easier. But if you let it dry, it's getting harder to remove those parts that you don't like them. And of course, anytime you apply new color or new shapes into your composition. If you think that they are not good enough, you can easily spray them out with water or wash them out with wet and clean brush. So they could be kind of background. Again, it's my third layer of green, which I made it darker with the same colors, burnt umber plus olive green, but this time I make them stronger with more consistency. But the brush, you know, the paper is dry now. Now I need wet my brush more, because it's a kind of using wet and dry technique, which means the brush is wet, should be wet, and the paper is dry. Okay, done. And I really enjoyed it, and I hope you enjoyed as well. See you, bye.